Honourable member for Mississauga, Brampton South. Order.
Mr. Speaker, as John McCain prepares to come to Ottawa, we're reminded of how this Conservative government refuses to answer questions surrounding the investigation of the NAFTA-Gate leaks. Frank Sensenbrenner, a Republican operative embedded inside the Canadian Embassy, has been fingered as the potential source of the leaked memo which damaged both Barack Obama's campaign and Canada's international reputation. So can the government tell us, why was Frank Sensenbrenner never interviewed?
That's right.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this is a remarkable lineup they put up in question period. I don't know how many questions we've had, and not a single question that touches on public policy. We have a question that I thought for a moment might be about NAFTA and the importance of NAFTA to the Canadian economy, but we know they don't want to talk about a strong Canadian economy, and they don't want to talk about their carbon tax. But they should at least take the time to look at the report of the Clerk of the Privy Council on this, in which he found that there was no evidence that any classified information was disclosed by the Prime Minister's office, and that none of the concerns that he raises repeatedly in the House on this matter have any basis, and not once has he apologized for his false allegations.
The Honourable member for Mississauga, Brampton South.
Mr. Speaker, let me read the report that the House Leader is hiding behind, and I quote, "During the course of the investigation, the names of a few U.S. citizens who were not employed by the Government of Canada were raised as having been possibly in contact with Canadian officials' access to the report. Interviewing these U.S. citizens was beyond the scope of the investigation." Unquote. Mr. Speaker, how can we trust the results of an investigation that didn't even interview the key suspects?
Exactly.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the difficulty and the problem is that the document was circulated by an official at Foreign Affairs to over 200 email addresses, many of which were outside the Foreign Affairs Department. What the report did was make very significant suggestions on how the processes could be improved, on how documents should have the appropriate classification, and how circulation should be a little bit more tight. None of that has anything to do with the false allegations he's continued to make, and I call upon him to apologize to the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff for repeatedly making those false accusations. He's never once even acknowledged they were false.
Honourable.
The honourable member.